Welcome to the Booktrovert Babes podcast, where two friends decided to bring our dramatic conversations about books here for your entertainment. I'm Rubik's mom of 5 and a baby reader just entering my book era.
And I'm Taylor, mom of 2 and a well-seasoned book veteran. Happy Halloween! Today we're doing our October recap.
I'm excited about this too. I killed it this month.
I'm excited because you killed it this month. You have so much to contribute to the conversation today.
I really do. I'm so excited. So let's talk about that. How many books did you read this month?
So as of recording today, I have finished 17 books, and I am halfway through 2 with the intent to finish both of those and squeeze in one more. Mm-hmm. So I'm at 17, 2 halves, 1 more, hoping to be at 20 by the end.
Nice.
I got 3 days.
I finished 15 books this month, and I am halfway, I think, through one of them. Mm-hmm. I'll probably finish it today. Mm-hmm. And then I have one more that I will probably fit in before Halloween is over.
Nice. So that'll
give me 17.
Yeah, so you're aiming to end at 17. I'm aiming to end at 20. She's so good. She's a rock star.
I'm a big kid now.
Of the 15, are they obviously the TBR that you made was 10 on our Instagram? So are all 15 covering those 10?
Yes, although I will admit, so I'm counting in the 15 the Mindfuck series as 5 separate books. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I just put the Mindfuck series on the TBR as one of the 10. So I guess, what is that? That would give me 14. If I'm counting the Mindfuck series as 5 books, then technically I had 14 on my TBR and I read 15. So I guess I didn't go that much over, but...
So are all the ones you read exclusively from the TBR that was on the Instagram Reels?
Mm-hmm. Except for 2. So 2 of the books I read were not on my TBR. And then 3 of the books on my TBR I have not read yet. Mm-hmm. So I read technically 11 books that were specifically on the TBR that I set for myself. And 2 extra.
What were the 2 extra?
Nah.
It's Halloween.
I knew you were going to do that to me.
I was being nice leading up to it.
Yeah, I know you were. But I knew it was coming.
Call me out anymore because you're one of us.
I am one of you. So the 2 extra ones that were not originally on my TBR that I read were the first 2 books in the Ice Planet Barbarian series. And I'm a little upset about it, to be honest. Okay? Because
that blue alien gang.
Listen, here's the thing. I signed up for weird ass blue alien smut, no plot. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought I was getting with this. And they're short, so I'm like, Taylor read it in an hour. I'm listening to it. I'll just blow through it real fast. No, absolutely not. That was one of the most genius sci-fi plots I have ever read. I have ever heard of. Even in all of the sci-fi shows and movies that I've watched, this is the most genius sci-fi plot ever. So I'm upset about it because I had planned on a one and done just to say that I did it. And I was so wrapped up in it that I had to go for book 2.
It's a canon event.
Me off, I would have finished another book on my TBR.
It's a canon event. You read it thinking it's going to be stupid, and then you're like, hold up, there might be something here that I need to...
It was weird-ass alien smut.
Yes.
But it had a genius plot.
There was smut with plot.
It was genius plot, though. That's a thing that threw me off so much. I was like, okay, it seems like there's a little bit of a plot here, but the more I was reading, I was like, this is freaking genius.
Yeah, honestly, if you took all the smutty things out of it and you just kept the plot that stays throughout the next couple of books, it's very interesting.
It is. It's really interesting. And I mean, I've only read the first 2, but it is very, very interesting. It's very well thought out and it's very well executed.
Yeah.
Like,
it is it's easy to follow too, which is nice because I'm not a sci-fi reader.
Right, and that's what I mean. Like,
or watcher.
You can have a good idea for like a sci-fi plot, but it's all about how you execute it, right? Because if you don't execute it correctly, then people get lost, they get confused, it doesn't make sense, you get a lot of things that are lost in translation, and this did not do that. It was executed really well. It was very easy to follow. It was intriguing enough to get you thinking about it outside of the text, right? Like in a way that didn't distract from everything else that was going on. And the extra stuff that was going on, namely the smut, didn't completely distract from the actual plot of it either. So it was really, really good. I didn't expect it to be that good. Kind of upset about it still, but it was really good. I think I sent messages to Tish and Shannon saying, "Excuse you."
Our OG blue alien girlies.
Yes.
Who got us to become them with them.
I sent it to both of them saying, "Listen, I have a TBR. I'm a big girl now. I don't have time to get wrapped up in blue alien stuff."
Especially when said blue aliens have a currently 26 book series.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have time for a 26 book series. I've got other books to read.
To be fair, when you look at it, some of them aren't a part of the main plot. They are like novellas of novellas.
Yeah,
and they're
like spin-offs
just
of
some
spin-offs.
weird-ass spin-offs. So I guess you could avoid those.
I'm probably going to. And I swear to God, though, some of the let's just talk. The covers are weird enough, okay? But some of these titles, I'm just like... One of the titles is actually called Ice Ice Baby. And I'm like... What the hell?
There's one that I think is like, it's a play on Santa Baby. It is a Christmas one. I think there's something like with that.
I think I saw that one, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
They are outlandish. And yet...
And if I didn't already know that it had a genius plot, I would look at that and be like, I am never reading these. But I probably
we did, technically.
It's such a good plot.
We avoided these books for years because these were blowing up during lockdown in 2020. So honestly, go us, because I only just read it in July, August when I had visited Mel over the summer.
Yeah, that was the first time I heard about it, was when Shannon was talking about it. I had heard like Tish talk about it some, but not into an extent of like, oh my God, you need to read these. It was more just, y'all talking about weird aliens. And I'm like,
just another day in the office. It's fine.
Just gonna check out of that conversation.
They blew up in 2020, so I feel as though kudos that I avoided them for 4 years and I ignored Tish for the year that she kept talking about them. But man, once you're in, you're like, crap, I'm stuck.
Shannon was
having a
really hard time about it. Like, did you read it yet? Did you read it yet?
Oh my God. When she saw that I was reading it,
read it. It's stupid.
The amount of fan arts
oh
she
my
was
God.
sending me while I was reading it. I was like, listen, stop it. I'm already in. I'm sold.
No, I'm glad I read it though, because it's a genius plot. But that was the one that, those were the two that were not on my TBR that I was like, I'll just throw these in real quick before I go to my next book. And yeah, now I'm going to have to read the rest of them. Or at least a good chunk of them.
Is you could just sprinkle a couple in.
That's what I'm planning to do. I'm just going to kind of sprinkle them throughout.
Yeah.
And leave it at that.
Every once in a while, when you're in a slump, just go pick up a novella about a blue alien and his human mate.
And you know what's really frustrating too is I love the Libby app so freaking much. I really do. But lately, there are a lot of books that I really want to read that aren't on there. And I'm like, these are popular. These are on Book Talk. These are on Bookstagram. Why aren't they on the Libby app? Why aren't they where I can get access to them?
Renew your Amazon Prime partner, whatever the hell it's called, on Audible. Every single book in Ice Planet Barbarian is on there.
Most of them are on the Libby app.
Yep.
That's why I'm frustrated. I'm like, all these like
they're really pushing people. They're like, come on, it's free. It's free. It's, if you have a card, it's on your Libby. If it's not on your Libby, go to Audible and sign up for $6.99 a month, and boom, you could listen to the whole saga.
Serpent and the Wings of Night, not on Libby. And I'm like, that's super popular.
That one was interesting to me because that is popular.
It's really popular, and I see it everywhere. Ice Planet Barbarians, like all of them are on there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Why?
Ruby Dixon taking over the world with her blue aliens.
Oh my god. It's frustrating a little bit, but
It's a little funny though.
it's very funny. It's hysterical. I'm glad that I read it. I will be sprinkling them throughout my TBRs coming up.
I'm just glad you've dabbled into the non-human world.
I have. Maybe it was already in the non-human world, the alien world. That was new for me. I don't know if I could be tricked into any other alien smut, to be honest.
It's the only like alien smut that I've read, so it wouldn't be me tricking you into it. It would probably be Tish or Shanoon. They have more experience in that field.
This is not an invitation, Tish and Shanoon.
It's a little bit. Just
it's
to
not.
See what they what else they can get you to read.
It's not an invitation from me. So if you have any more alien smut suggestions, send them to Taylor. She's inviting you. I'm not.
My TBR is too big. It's big enough.
So let's talk about some of your books. Because I'm excited about one of them.
I know you're so excited about one of them. So I'll just go based off the ones that I'm like done with. Technically, the one that I'm halfway through is a reread fanfic. So I already know I worship that one. It's going to be a 5 stars. The other one that I'm halfway through right now is the sequel to a book that I loved, and I'm not loving it. Hence why it's taking me so long to finish it. But
that stinks.
It does. But to be fair, it was going to be hard to follow up a book that did really, really well. There was going to be a lot of high expectations going into it, so it just it already was kind of set up to fail. It doesn't have tropes that I love, so we're just gonna let that one go, and then I'm gonna try and end the month off on a little why choose. So but yes. So the 17 that I have finished so far was quite the up and down, I'll say.
Okay.
I had a lot of 4 stars, so it was a pretty good month. I had a couple of 2 stars, which was very unfortunate, and then couple of surprises came across where I was like, I'm just going to read this because it's Halloween. There was basically a dare was put forth on whether you could finish said book, and I can't be dared and then not attempt the dare. So after our buddy read, which was Corrupt, which we're buddy reading with some friends, the Devil's Night series, which, again, I'm so proud of you because you finished that on time with us. The first time you've ever finished a buddy read with us on time.
I did so good.
Claps for Rubik's. Very proud. Then I read a book 3 of the Windy City series, Caught Up, which was another single dad and his nanny, and I fucking loved it. And I can hear Mel going at me because how much I say I hate that trope. And yet, this
I
year,
thought that was funny too that you liked that one so much.
So many single dads and their nannies, and I love them. And I'm like, God dang it, I'm being converted. So that I was like, I simply can't read the next book because I loved this one so much. I 5-starred it. I'm gonna throw in trash. That's gonna be a great little reset.
Love when you do that.
And then came the Morningwood Tree. I feel as though I've gone too far. I feel like when I finished this book...
And you don't think the title was a red flag?
Well, this was the one that on the Instagram post, it was basically set up as a dare you try it, dare you finish it. I was triple dog dared, essentially, and I can't... You gotta do a triple dog dare. I can't be triple dog dared and not do it. And I 3-starred this fucking book, too. I feel as though I've gone too far. And I may need to take a step back on the triple dog dares and the weird things that I read. I'm going to chalk it up to I was triple dog dared and it was Halloween. Just the formula for why I should have read it happened. But yeah, I read a book about a tree this month and I don't know.
Let's be a little more specific about that.
A carnivorous tree.
A carnivorous tree.
But he wasn't carnivorous for her.
Oh my god.
I fell in love. There was a cult involved and a lot of other insane shit that I was not prepared for. I was texting Mel about it, being like, what did I just read? I can't keep going, but I have to keep going. What the fuck is happening right now?
Was there more oil?
Huh?
Was there more oil?
There was not oil. There was a Diva cup involved at one point.
Ew!
Yep. And that's not even the worst ew part. I'm not even going to say what the worst ew part was because I, to this day, am still having nightmares and trauma about it. Okay, so we're just going to ignore the more worst part.
Oh my god.
Now that I'm looking at this, I read a lot of retellings of mythologies and retellings. Yeah. I did not realize how many I had on here. Because the next one I read was the Four Horsemen retelling.
Mm-hmm.
After that was a series from when I was a teenager I never finished, so I can just skip over those two. Technically, only one of them was on my TBR. It was really short. I was like, I'm just going to finish the next one because if I leave too much of a gap month to month, I might honestly forget some of it because it's just a YA future dystopia type of thing. So I just finished it. It was the selection series, so I read Elite in one. Then I went into that Nightmare Before Christmas, but make it gay and make it extremely fucking political. That was the book that put me in a slump because it took me from the 9th to the 21st to finish that book.
Ooh,
because
that's a while for you.
It was not at all marketed for what it is. It was marketed as like the Prince of Halloween and the Prince of Christmas are competing in this like marriage, like a la The Bachelorette kind of thing for the hand of the Princess of Easter. But like secretly they're like, I don't really want to be here, but like I gotta stay because like I love you and I want to be with you. That is not what it was, even a little bit. And that put me in a slump. Yeah. So I had to do my reread of For the Fans because, you know, I love For the Fans. Then I read my cowboy thing. But then we did the Northwind, which was Persephone's and Hades. Then I did another like Halloween-y read. And then I read a couple of other things. But then I got to Neon Gods, another Persephone's and Hades retelling.
Yeah.
Then crossed.
And that was the one that you talked about. You had soft DNF'd it before because you did not like it at all.
2 years ago, I soft DNF'd it. I thought it was a year ago. I looked back. It was 2 years ago because they are human Persephone's and Hades, and I hated it. And you know what? I should have hard DNF'd because that was one of my 2 stars. Then I read Crossed, which is the Hunchback of Notre Dame retelling.
Yeah.
My first solely religion-based read. Smut. Hated it. Also gave it 2 stars.
I'm still nervous about that for that reason, and I'm more nervous about it because of how much you hate it.
I think it was the religion that there's one specific thing that was happening that was really hard for me to read. That I was actually, it was really hard to stomach reading it.
Ooh.
That I was like I was cringing. It was so hard to read parts of that book that I was like, I don't like it. The way he was repenting for his sins, we'll say. I hated it. It was so hard to read.
Even like just you saying that, I don't like it.
No, that was honestly, the rest of it was fine. There were aspects of it that I did really enjoy, but the repenting, man, was hard to read. But yeah, I read a lot of retellings. Maybe that's why I was slumping a little bit this month because I read so many.
I think similar. I read the one retelling. Well, 2. I read 2 retellings this month. I read the Northwind with you, the Hades and Persephone retelling, which I've never read one of those before. So I liked it, I think, a lot more than you did because I've never read one before. But I also read the retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses, the House of Salt and Sorrows, and I really, really liked it. It was really good.
I normally love a retelling. I almost think that I put too many in this month, and that might be why
I'm just kind of over it. Like, give me something more original.
Yeah. I think I need to take a break on my retellings. I actually don't have any next month. But then I had 2 books that stood out because it was a whole new magic system that I got to read about, which was really fun. Because, again, when I was a teenager, I was very heavy into the fantasy world where there was a lot of magic systems and they all just started kind of weaving into each other and were getting kind of boring.
Yeah.
So the first one that I read was the One Dark Window, which was a buddy read with my family, or book club read with my family. It was so good. I am working so hard to get you, Kaylee, and Tish, and Mel to read it.
I mean, I've got it on my Libby app on hold. It's going to take forever. Like,
honestly, if it takes too long, I will be reading the 2 Twisted Crowns without you next month because it was so good. I need to get to the second book.
It's already, I requested the hold, 5 days ago? And I've gone from 248 in line to 222nd.
Okay, so it's moving along. It probably won't get it before next month, though.
It's still estimating that I'm 9 weeks away.
Yeah, I can't wait 9 weeks, because that means in 9 weeks you could start One Dark Window.
Right.
And then I read The Black Witch.
Yeah, you did.
And I will say, I don't know if I had more fun reading the book so that I could finally understand parts of because clearly there's more books, so I don't have all of the knowledge that sometimes you're talking about.
Right.
However, I think I had more fun texting you as I was reading it. Because
I think I had more fun with you texting me than I did reading it. Like I even borrowed it from the Libby app again just to listen to some of the parts that you were on.
That's funny.
So that I could follow along with you a little bit like that. And this is why I like buddy reads. That's what I love doing, is going back and forth being like, she did what? Please tell me this is please tell me this guy is gonna do this. Please tell me this is what's happening.
Yeah.
I loved that. Those text conversations were so fun with me, and it was so perfect. It was exactly what I needed that day.
I was going to say, it also came at a great time for you because like you were not having a great day, and I made it better. I'd like to think so that I made your day. Because
like the moment you said you were reading it, I was squealing and like kicking my feet in my chair.
You were in such a mood and you were about to bitch me out, and all I had to do, because we were on a FaceTime call at the time, she was like trying to yell at me, and I was like, excuse you, and I turned my Kindle around, and immediately her mood was like, oh, best friend, like immediately nothing mattered. I was reading your book.
Literally just said to my husband too, like I'm about to have an opening for best friend.
Yeah, she was about to kick my ass to the curb, and I don't even remember what I did. But I was like, no,
either.
I'm reading The Black Witch.
But as soon as you showed me your Kindle, I was like, never mind.
She's the best. I love her so much.
Yep.
But it was really good. I'm going to attempt to finish everything that's out, so that way we could, in theory, buddy read the finale book that's coming out in January.
Mm-hmm.
I had a hard time with
you.
Parts of it, because obviously everything that I told you, the reasons why it was like...
Yeah.
But you did warn me that it's very first book of a fantasy syndrome, like ACOTAR. Which, honestly, I really liked ACOTAR for what it was. Like, I don't not like the first book of that series. I feel like
you're going to say the same, like, when you get through the series. I feel like you'll say the same about that book, about the first book with Black Witch Chronicles, is that it was good for what it was. Like, it very much is a setup.
I think what's hard is, with this particular book, there's so many fucking people. Like, I would text you about something, and we would talk about it, and then you would like say, oh yeah, like when they did this with this, and I was like, I already forgot who the fuck that is. Like, you had mentioned the twins because you had just said their last name, and I was like, is that such and such's brother? And then no, it's this person, and then you're like, no, it's not, it's these people, and I was like, fuck. Because there was just so, now that I'm done with it and I like know who's who and I know the dynamics, now it's fine. But getting into it, the amount of people and who they are and what they are and their relationship to this, and like I almost said the patriarchy, the hierarchy setup of like the species, now it clicks. But while I was reading it, until it clicks, it's so much. It
was a little bit confusing, but it was confusing as far as the characters, right? Like learning the cast, that did make that a little bit confusing. But I also, now that I've gone through so many of the books, I've figured out that I think the point of it was more to set up, like in the world building setup, you know, like learning all the different species. They did that by introducing you to members of that species. Yeah. Instead
Which I really
of
like
just info dumping.
I like the way they did it versus like telling us about it, like being the school system was actually a genius way to introduce everybody. Mm-hmm. However, my favorite thing is that we're both stupid.
Yeah.
The fact it took, mind you, this is like over 600 pages. The fact it took me, honestly, probably in the 400s, maybe even 500, to put together that her entire species is named after her. I'm so dumb. Her last name is literally the same thing that their species are. Just add in the IANS at the end. Like,
they don't say it as much. Like, they don't say it as much.
They never make it
say the
obvious.
Species as much, but they don't say her name as much.
Because it's said in one sentence of whoever the first Black Witch was, they said the full name and then the species name. I was like, and they'd been saying it since chapter 1, but my dumbass brain thought nothing of it. Like, nothing. There wasn't even like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like, nothing registered until I saw the two in one sentence together, and I went, oh my god, her whole
Okay, but at least you figured out in the first book. Okay, at least you figured out in the first book. If it makes you feel better,
years later.
No.
Oh,
I figured
I was
out
like,
the first
okay,
book
maybe
too.
I'm not that dumb.
But the same thing happened to me. So like, I grew up in Sunday school and stuff, right?
Yeah.
You hear all these stories, and then they're always talking about the Israelites. Not until I was in my freaking 20s did I sit there and go, wait, Israelites, the son of Israel, the person.
Yep.
The way his family branched out. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a freaking idiot. Like,
yeah. So like, if anyone now wants to be influenced by Rubik's to also read The Black Witch, you're welcome. Just so you know,
yes.
her name and her
You've got the scoop. You've got
are together. Like, and it's not a spoiler at all. It's just me being stupid as fuck.
So you're saying you would also recommend this book?
I think for anyone who likes fantasy and wants to read something with extremely unique magic system, yeah. I'm not in enough to like have an opinion for Tish because
that's fair, though. She's really picky, and it's a series, so we already know she's not going to read the last book.
Well, the last book's not even out yet, so I probably wouldn't rec it to her until that book was out. But
that's a good point.
She will hate the FMC. I mean, I don't really like her that much either. She's growing on me, but the amount of times that I texted you, oh look, she's crying.
She's crying again.
Is this bitch hydrating? Because I have not heard her saying that she's like drink water. Because it said a couple times that she was eating something, but I not once saw her drinking water. And I literally was like, I hope she carries a water bottle around because this bitch is dehydrated from how much she cries in a day. Like, stop crying! Damn it! And I know that'll piss Tish off. So, yes, I would rec it to other people who want to go into a very unique magic system. Tish, hold on. Let me keep going, and I'll let you know. Because right now, no.
Yeah,
she will hate.
It's very similar to how I felt about Farah in A Court of Thorns and Roses. Like, I hated her. And actually, in Fourth Wing, until like the last quarter of Fourth Wing, I didn't like Violet either.
No, and I think that's
I thought she
part
was
of what
also
bothers,
whiny and annoying.
That's what bothers Tish with a lot of setups. The women they always start out weak.
Yeah.
And I would just like to read a book where she doesn't start off weak. And I swear to God, Mandy, if you're listening, I already know I will get to Throne of Glass. Calm down. I know she doesn't start off weak, okay? But I'm not there yet. That's a big series. I will get there, okay? It's on the TBR.
One of the other books I read this month, I read A Fate Inked in Blood, and I really wasn't crazy about it, but I will say that the FMC of that book, she did not start off weak. She was very, very sassy, very strong-willed. I mean, she was good. And she did not start off weak. She was reserved in a lot of situations because she's like, I have to survive when all this is said and done. But she wasn't weak and whiny to the point that it was annoying. You know what I mean? And she totally had the right to be whiny and annoying with all the stuff that was going on.
Farah, I don't think she was weak. I mean, she was the prime provider for her family with her beginning.
Yeah, she was whiny.
Brat. Yeah, she was a brat.
Yeah.
But she wasn't weak. Whereas this one, she's all of the things. She is weak, whiny, bratty, emotional, a Zionist, a little racist. So, we're working on it. We're fixing her. She's working on herself, hopefully. Yeah. I mean, I would imagine.
She was raised that way, though. So you're already starting to see her, break out of this mold that she was raised in.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take her a little bit of time.
It's just interesting. I mean,
specifically one book.
Great. It's just, without giving the spoilers, it was just a very interesting setup. The way her brothers are with how she is.
Yeah.
So
I
am excited to keep going.
The character
Hence why I put 2 books next month.
I also think because the huge cast was mostly to give us more information about all the species without info dumping, it does the people that you're actually following, the characters you're actually following and caring about, does narrow. It does narrow it down because through the books, those people are less important. So it focuses in on a few main characters, and you have this really nice found family set up. So it does narrow down, but I liked that there were so many people that we meet, and that's how we learn about all the different species and the relationships between those species instead of just a big old info dump, because I hate info dumping in a book.
There were parts where it felt like a lot. Like, I would say the hardest part of the book for me to focus, and I actually had to reread parts. Like, I would read it and then I was like, hold on, I gotta read this again. I think was just her first day of the school, because that's when, like, she's seeing everybody for the first time. She goes to the kitchen for the first time. Her professors, like, none of them are the same species. So it was the first day, because there's so many names, and then the dorming, and then the kitchen, and then the teachers, and then the people in her classes, and then, like, that was a lot. So I did have to read.
In a way, though, it was cool because it was a lot for her too. Like, you actually feel what she felt, because she had never been around all these different species before.
That was the thing that why I reread it.
Homeschooled in this little cabin away from everybody, and now she's in all this school, learning about this whole world that she's in, that she didn't know anything about all these other species, and now she's just like, she was just as overwhelmed with all the information as we were. So I
got to reread it. She didn't get to reread it. She had to live it. There was one point where I texted you. I was like, could someone just leave this girl alone for like 10 minutes? Like, this
seriously?
Like, I don't even like her right now. But could we just leave her alone for 10 minutes? Like, jeez. Let her wash the pig poop out of her hair. Like, this girl needs a break. I also, the amount of, like, theories that I texted you when I was done, I shouldn't have done it, because I can already tell I'm correct on some of them, because you just blatantly ignored me. Like, you didn't even, like, somewhat acknowledge that I sent you a bunch.
Why I ignored you was so you wouldn't know. I'll say that there are some you are correct-ish on.
There's only one
way off
that I need to be way off on. There's only one of those ones that I need to be way off on, but I feel like I know in my gut I'm not off. So I finally read your book, so you can't bitch at me anymore.
No, I'm so excited that you read it. I am so happy. And
but I am going to try and do the combined novellas with Iron Flower next month, and then whatever I'm missing, I'm just going to do December, because my goal is for December to be as relaxed as possible that month of the TBR. So it honestly might
as opposed
be
to 100.
Honestly, it might just be your books and then starting to reread Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. Like, I honestly, December is just going to be a very lax month for me. Hence why I'm just trying to hit my reading goal by the end of November. And then December is just like bonus books get added on, because I'm going to be so busy in December. I'm not going to be hitting numbers like in the teens in December. It's just not going to happen. That'll be a good month to just read whatever's left of that particular series. Yeah. So other than The House of Leaves, what was your favorite read this month? Because you spent a lot of time, obviously, and there's nothing that's going to compare to The House of Leaves. It's probably going to be your favorite of the year. Like, you've already addressed that.
My favorite of the year, for sure.
Other than that, let's remove that bad boy. Well, because for me, my favorite read would be one of my rereads. But if I were to remove that, my favorite is Caught Up by Liz Tom Ford, which was the baseball single dad and his nanny. What is but One Dark Window. I'll have to debate. What was your favorite read other than House of Leaves?
I think I'm kind of torn between Northwind and House of Salt and Sorrows, because I really, really liked both. I feel like I liked House of Salt and Sorrows more than the Northwind.
How far are you into The Serpent and the Wings of Night? I know that you're in the middle of book.
I'm on chapter 27.
What are the vibes so far? Are you feeling it's at least 3 stars?
At least 3 stars, yeah.
Okay.
I like it. It's very fast paced, which I wasn't expecting. And also when you said it was like Hunger Games, I expected the action to all be fast paced all at once. I didn't expect there to be like a break and like they go home for the night and then come back.
Well, they don't go home. They're in like that dorm situation. But
I know.
That's why I compared it to
I didn't
the Hunger
expect
Games.
It to be like a 9-to-5 situation for the Hunger Games, and then they go and chill for the evening.
They're vampires. They can't be out during the day. But that's why I compared it to the Hunger Games, because if you think of the Hunger Games, it's really, really fast paced at first because they're like maybe go to the cornucopia, maybe run the fuck away, and then it's kind of slow going, and then there's like that final wha-bam moment. So that's why
I haven't had a huge range of emotion, because that's something I'm starting to track in my books now, is like what my range of emotion is in it. And I haven't had a huge range of emotion yet, and I've already passed the midway point. So I'm kind of hoping that going from here, like, it starts to kind of pick up.
I will say,
now that I've invested this much time in it, that I start feeling more for these people, because I really don't. I'm not super invested in anybody right now.
Yeah, no, I would say the last half is where it got me.
Okay.
Because I feel like, yeah, it's slow. It's fast but slow in the weirdest combination in the beginning. And then it picks up. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say. Because I really want you to organically
like the character development so far. The character development has been pretty cool so far. I like that.
Do you love Bestie? Do you like her a little bit? Say you love her.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
His bestie?
Yes, his bestie. Yes. I don't care about anyone else. As long as you like her, that's fine.
I was like...
You can hate everyone in that book except for her.
No, I absolutely love her. She's fantastic.
She's the third book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love her.
It's coming out in November.
Her. And I actually am starting to like him. I didn't at first. I was kind of like... I see where this is going. I'm not going to care at all. Now I'm starting to like him, and I'm like, okay, I see you.
I'm just waiting for you to finish so I can get text messages.
Yeah, no, you're going to get some soon.
Because I also think Kaylee should get the exact same ones that I get.
I'm going to probably send them in a group. I'm going to send them in a group to you and Kayle's both. I haven't had any real reactions to anything yet, but if it's coming it's a Sarah J. Maas kind of thing where it's about to, the last bit of the book is where it really hits you, then it's coming up. We're getting there.
That's the thing about fantasy of why I almost avoid reading them more. My anxiety can't handle knowing, it's fine. Oh, here we go. 100 pages to go. Fuck. It's a great formula. It pulls me the fuck in, but I'm almost also here we go. Here's the last 100 pages. Time to fuck shit up.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it, and I am also looking forward to finishing it and seeing what comes out of it, because I'm kind of surprised that I'm not super into it, because normally I would be. I don't know if it's my mood in general lately that's kind of giving me this barrier almost where I can't really get into the book. But I am excited to see what's going to happen. How this is going to, I kind of know what's going to happen. I have my predictions, but I'm excited to see how it comes to, I'm excited to see the play-by-play and see how it actually happens.
If I could just watch your face when you read the last 50 pages, that would be great. Could you record yourself for me?
Yeah, I could either record myself or call you a dissy.
That'd be perfect, because I just want to watch your face. Mainly because I know you're a predictor, so I would be curious if you'll predict certain things. But I also just want to watch your face, because will you cry? Will you go, oh, I knew it? I just want to know the range of emotion in those last 50 pages.
Usually if it's a book that's going to make me cry or elicit that kind of emotion from me, I would have already had some reactions by this point. Usually. Not in all cases, but usually that's how it goes. So I'm kind of am I going to have any reactions in this book? Because I should have by now, for sure.
If you don't, I'm going to be surprised, because everyone who's read it loves it. My mother, my cousin, me, Tish.
It won't mean I won't love it. It won't mean I won't love it. It will just mean that I wasn't
5-starred it, so.
No pressure. Damn.
You were just born to be a hater.
My God, whatever.
It's fine. So, you said that you would potentially try and squeeze in one more book worth at the end of the month. What book is that?
So...
You're not going to say my book, are you?
So here's the thing.
Sucking on her lips. That means no.
Here's the thing. Okay. I really, really want to read Hidden Pictures, but I know you want me to read Her Soul to Take, and I also want to read it. I am working with Tish. Tish has been recording herself to send
Shut up. Is she?
Yes. So she's having some editing issues, and I told her, I was like, I don't even need you to edit it. Just send it anyway.
Can I have the recording, please?
No, it's for me.
I'm texting her as soon as we're done. I don't need the whole thing. I just want the first Leon chapter. That's it. I don't need the entire thing. I just want the first chapter from Leon's perspective.
We'll see how it goes because I've already succumbed and I've reactivated my Audible and I got Serpent in the Wings of Night on Audible. I do have one more credit and I do have something else I would rather use it on. However, I'm not going to make Tish read this whole book to me. I know she has stuff to do.
Yeah.
But if she's going to record it, I'd rather listen to Tish than an audiobook, to be perfectly honest. So I'm waiting to see how it goes for her. And if she like dips out of it after a couple chapters, like that's fine. Then I'll go ahead and use my Audible credit and listen to the rest of the book.
I think it would be so funny.
I've been waiting because
Tish, and then you go to the Audible and you're like, this sucks. It's not Tish.
I know, right? That's the only reason why I've waited, because I almost went ahead and got it on Audible. But when Tish said that she was recording, I was like, oh, hell no, I'm waiting for Tish, because I totally prefer that. So I'm not going to pressure her into finishing it because that's going to take forever. And that's a lot of time spent for her because she's also trying to edit this to make it nice.
I'm trying to figure out if she's only going to read it or if there will be Tish commentary.
I would love the Tish commentary.
That's why I'm like, is she editing out the commentary? Because if that's what she's editing out, I want the unedited version.
No, she just said that she had to stop and start because she was fumbling over words. So she just had to stop and start a lot. Yeah. So she's just trying to stitch them all together, basically. And she's trying to figure out how best to do that. So I'm waiting for her. Otherwise, I would have started your book. But
no, honestly, the Tish thing is the only excuse I would have accepted. So you know what? Yeah, wait for the Tish audiobook.
Yeah,
I also want to.
That's my plan. That's my plan. So that's the only reason why I haven't read it yet. But the one that I'm looking at trying to squeeze in before the month is over is Hidden Pictures. I really want to read that. I think it'll be really good.
All right. Your excuse was incredibly valid, so I will accept.
Thank
you.
I
already said my worst read was The Neon Gods. What was your worst read? And worst doesn't necessarily... For me, I hated my worst read, but I still gave it 2 stars because 1 star means I hate you. But for you, like we've done this in our big book club that we have where the worst read isn't necessarily you didn't like it. It could have been 3.5 stars. It just wasn't the highest rated of the month.
Yeah.
So worst doesn't mean bad. Worst just means it wasn't the best.
So if I'm looking at like most disappointing.
Oh, you know what? That's a good comparison of like worst read, but biggest disappointment.
Yeah.
Because that would to me is kind of different.
Because my most disappointing one, I still rated 4 stars. Like I rounded up, but whatever. Oh. I rated it 4 stars. That was A Fate Inked in Blood.
Oh,
and I've already explained why, right? Yeah. So it wasn't that I didn't like the book. I was just disappointed by it. It wasn't what I wanted from it. It wasn't what I thought I was going to get from it. Now, having said that, I think the lowest rating that I'm giving out this month is The Ravens. I definitely wanted
I remember
more.
You didn't love those or love that.
I didn't. And I really wanted to because it was supposed to be like, okay, it's a sorority of witches. Okay. All of the girls in the sorority are witches. All trying to stay like on the DL at this college.
Giving American Horror Story Coven.
It's like American Horror Story Coven, but also Pretty Little Liars together.
Which, like, in theory, sounds like the best recipe for a book ever.
Exactly. And that's what I was expecting. And I was real put off by it. Like, the entire thing, it's a dual POV. It's in third person, though. And I didn't like that. That was so frustrating to read. Because I kept getting confused on who was talking, you know? Yeah. Because they're always, the 2 POVs, like, they're always around each other. So I kept, like, getting, like, wait, what?
Yeah, that sucks. Because that setup
wasn't what I wanted.
So cool.
The setup was a lot better than the payoff, you know? So that was my most disappointing one for the month, I think.
Yeah, because my worst, because I hated it, was Neon God, but my most disappointing was The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
I still didn't mind it for what it was.
Too.
It's just because it was marketed wrong. It wasn't, had I known what it was, I probably would have liked it more, because I gave it 3 stars, like an even 3. Because for what it was still good. It's just not what it was marketed for. I wanted a holiday gay, and that's not what I got, and I was so sad. It was good. Had it been marketed the way for what it is, which honestly makes me hope that like the author will learn from this and market the second one better. Questionable, because I've already seen some of the marketing for the second one and I can already tell you it's a lie because I know how the second one is set up and it's a lie. It's not going to be the Christmas Prince has a little brother and he's set up to be with the Prince of St. Patrick's Day, but it's not going to be a happy gay. Again, it's going to be what this one was, a little bit like make it different. So knowing that, I might like the second one because now I know what I'm getting into.
Right.
The marketing has everything to do with it. The Morningwood Tree, there was zero wrong in how that was marketed. I knew what I was getting. I didn't quite know the scary kinks that were going to be in there, but I knew what I was getting into.
Right. Yeah.
Even off the title. But again, The Nightmare Before Christmas, based on that title, is not at all what the book was. So it's a very like, it was disappointing because everyone in the world who knows me knows how much I love The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
so,
I kind of feel like because of how much you love Nightmare Before Christmas, I kind of feel like anything that's supposed to be that theme is going to disappoint you, though.
I mean, if it had been a happy little gay story with some holidays and a little bit of The Bachelorette, it would have been really cute. And I would have loved it for what it was. But that's not what it was. It was sad at some parts. And I was like, I didn't want sad with this. What is happening?
I was a little bit disappointed with, like, for the same reasons with A Fate Inked in Blood. I thought I was going to like it a lot more. And I was excited about the Viking aspect. And I just I don't know. All of the characters really pissed me off, except for the FMC. I love her, but every other character really pissed me off. And I feel like I have to like at least somebody else besides the main character, you know?
Yeah.
I gotta like some side characters. There were no side characters that I liked.
That's the thing with the Black Witch. I like all the side characters. I won't say all the side characters in the Black Witch. Let's be clear. I don't like all the side characters.
Yeah. I was gonna say, really? All?
I don't like the FMC. I'm learning to like her if she grows the correct way, which, I mean, is leading that way. She has to grow. But honestly, the side characters is what makes the Black Witch. So I can see if you're reading something and you're not invested with the side characters, something's amiss. Like what do you mean? You're supposed to love side characters sometimes more than the main characters. There's what keeps the book going.
Were no side characters in A Fate Inked in Blood that I liked at all. And that really disappointed me. It really made the story fall flat in a lot of ways because you need somebody else to be like, yeah, what she said, you know? And I didn't get any of that. I had none of that at all. And even the character development, because there wasn't anybody that I liked, the character development kind of fell flat for me too. I didn't really feel like there was much character development. There was a little bit, I guess, for the MMC. But even then, like, I don't know, I predicted a lot of things that were going to happen. And having, like, not being surprised by anything, and then having there be no side characters I liked, and no real character development to speak of. I was just kind of like, you know, just real disappointed.
Yeah.
I wanted better from this because the setup could have been really, really good. And I'm not really terribly excited to read the next book. I will, because I read the first one and I have to read the next one. But if the next one isn't better to where I feel like this book was a setup book, I don't know, I might DNF the series.
See, that's your trap in fantasy. The first book being its setup is you're always like, the second one has hope because this is sometimes the model for fantasy. But then you read the second one and you could be like, okay, I see it, or it got worse.
Yeah, and I don't even really know yet if I can say that this was a setup book because it didn't feel like a setup book. But that's the only way I'll be able to justify it is if it ends up being a good setup book. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense because I feel like when we were reading Fourth Wing, there were aspects of Fourth Wing that didn't even feel setup booky, but then you read Iron Flame and you're like, oh no, wait, Fourth Wing was absolutely a setup book without even feeling like it. Whereas ACOTAR feels like a setup book because then you get into the real story and you're like, oh, that first book almost has nothing to do with the real story. Fourth Wing almost feels like that now, having read the second one. You're like, oh, it actually was a setup book. It didn't feel like it reading it, but it is. So I can see maybe the second one will show you that the first one was. I don't know, because I didn't read it, so.
Maybe. We'll see. I'm not terribly looking forward to it. It's going to take me a long time to get it on my TBR.
When's it coming out?
May. It's not coming out until May. Yeah, I have
maybe
time.
Maybe you'll forget the first book and you will be like, I could let it go.
Maybe, or maybe I'll just try and reread it. Maybe I'll be in a better headspace and I'll already have my bar set so low that like it has to be better because my bar is so far down. Like, it can't be worse, right?
Yeah, right. In hope.
It can't be worse the second time around. It can just be as bad or better. Maybe I'll like it better. Who knows? But yeah, I wasn't. The magic system was a little interesting because it had little bits of Chosen One and it had little bits of like demigod of. But the demigod part of it was done differently. It was more original than what I've seen before. So I did like that, but that also like hyped me up to think it was going to be better than I ended up feeling about it. So maybe if I just have my expectations down low, I can go and read it again. It won't be as bad. And I have plenty of time to do that before the next book comes out. And then maybe I'll feel better about reading the next one. Yeah. But I think The Ravens was most disappointing.
Because I feel like I saw that one all over Book Talk. Even my side of Book Talk. And I know see a lot of fantasy on my side.
Well, and you know what was really disappointing? I wanted to like it more because the cover is so pretty.
The cover's so pretty.
I know that's so shallow and stupid, but like, I judged the book by its cover.
How do you think I feel? Because I own The Nightmare Before Christmas, and it's adorable, and I just look at it and I'm like, you disappointed me. And it's got straight edges, so it gets to stay because it's cute, and it was 3 stars. But every time I look at it, I'm like, you wronged me.
Yeah, you could have been better.
So I feel like I already know the answer to the next one, like question prompt that I wrote for us. Of your books that you read, which one would you want me to read the most?
House of Salt and Sorrows.
Oh, okay.
You thought I was going to say House of Leaves. You wouldn't read it.
Well, you're not wrong. I said, which one would you want me to read?
It's not your type of book. I don't think you would enjoy it enough for it to be worth you reading. You know what I mean? Like, it's written as like it's not written in a similar language to the books that
if I could have all your cheat sheet notes the way that your hubby's going to have your cheat sheet notes, then maybe I would be more inclined because you did all the homework for me.
I still don't think you would like it because the tone of the book, the tone of all the other books that we read, it's very like, here's a fun story. That's not at all how House of Leaves is written. It's written more like academic satire.
Yeah, I'm here for a good time. Was Salt and Sorrow the 12 Dancing Princesses one?
Yes.
Okay.
And I would want you to do a quick, like, little read of the fairy tale. It's short. It's just read
the not famous fairy tale. Sure.
Whatever. Because I think what I liked about it so much was the way they did the retelling, right? Because you have like...
Yeah, I feel like if it's a retelling, then I'd want to know what the retelling was. Like, honestly, with the Never After series, the reason I like it is she chooses ones I've seen those movies.
Oh, yeah, we've seen
If it's a retelling of something I've never seen, then I'm not as invested in the retelling.
Yes.
So, if I were to read that one, I definitely would read the fairy tale first, then do the retelling. So then I have a frame of reference for what I'm reading. Yeah. Yes.
And it was really good though, the explanations, because there's in a retelling there's always like, okay, so Peter Pan versus Hooked, perfect example of this. Okay, Peter Pan has magic. Okay, Neverland, it's all magic oriented,
mermaids,
right?
Crocodile.
And so there's a lot of stuff that when you're reading Hooked, you're like, okay, so we know where this is based off of, so how are they going to explain that in this book with there being no magic system? You know?
I will preface, while I hated Cross, I still love the Never After series, and I think she has such a fun Easter eggy way of incorporating almost everything from those books in the smallest ways to the most obvious ways. She's genius with how she mixes them in and makes them like super smutty dark romances. I just don't like the religion part of Crossed. And also, Hunchback of Notre Dame scared the fuck out of me as a child. So I was already
it wasn't even a Disney movie that you liked.
Rough. Because the other thing is, like, that one's actually based on more real things versus the rest of these. So, to preface, I still love the series. I think she's a genius. I can't wait to read Hex when it comes out next week. This one just wasn't for me.
Right. And which is fair. But what I was saying about the retellings is there's so many things that's like, okay, well, how are they going to, you know, rectify the situation with there being no magic system? Like, how are they going to do that? How are these things going to get resolved? And the way they did it in 12 Dancing Princesses, I was shocked. I was blown away. Like, I could not have predicted it.
Oh, that's a lot from you.
And yes, it is huge. And it was so big of a thing that, like, even when you know what's happening, you still don't know how it's going to end up. Like, you understand what's happening, but it's still like this question of, okay, but how is this going to end?
But where are we going from here?
Normal. Yeah. Like, normally, like, once you have the shocking, like, oh, this is what it is, you know, you know how it's going to end up, right? And then it's just getting the play-by-play on how it happens. This book did not give that to you. They keep you guessing on how exactly it's going to end up. And it's very much like, okay, but what about this? Oh, you know how you thought this was going on? But what if it's like this? And it's like, oh, okay. It kept me on my toes all the way to the end. And I really appreciated that. I don't ever get that from a book because
you do nothing but
notoriously predict things. And I'm not normally wrong. So once I've predicted something, I'm like, this is where it is. And when it comes up and I see that I was correct, I'm like, yeah, I saw that coming. You know, I'm not really as excited about it. This kept me on my toes to the end of the book. And so I think you would really enjoy it because of that. House of Leaves, I would love for you to read just because of the experience of reading a book like that. But it's not written in a verbiage or like a tone that you're used to reading. And so I really don't think you would get anything out of it except to say that you've read ergodic literature. I mean, the dedication of the book literally says, this is not for you. That is the dedication of the book, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe one day, but this is not the book to start that.
Fair.
This is not the one. This is like, I'm going to have to give you a couple of like practice.
You're going to have to ease me into it. I'm going to go back and read some Goosebumps.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Like, we're gonna have to give you some practice ones, but even like Goosebumps, like this was not a fun story that is like watching a movie.
Yeah,
this is like learning. This is like watching a documentary.
Yeah,
it's the difference between watching a documentary and watching a movie. You know, like the tone of it is like you're watching a story unfold. You don't have that same tone in House of Leaves, so I don't think that you would like it. Now, if you like academic satire, totally. Like my stepdad, I know, likes academic satire and has read a lot of books that are very academic. So I told my stepdad, I was like, you're going to like this book. I think you need to read it. My brother-in-law, same thing. He likes academic level type of books. He likes watching documentaries. That's for him. This I wouldn't say is for you because it's like watching a documentary instead of watching a movie.
Well, yeah.
So no, I wouldn't ever say, I want you to read this book. Get it on your TBR. Not this one.
Listen.
I'm happy to keep this to myself. Although if anybody else has read or is going to read or interested in reading House of Leaves, dude, hit me up. I want to talk about this book so bad. And it is killing me. My husband is taking forever to finish it. And so is our friend Katie. She's taking a while to finish it. And it's killing me only because I want to talk about it so bad.
I mean, to be fair, it's not like you finished it in a day or even a week. It takes time.
It took me a long time to finish it. And I totally understand. It's not like I'm not judging them. For
no. You're like,
it's
the
just
anticipation.
Because I'm like, can we talk about it, please? Can you finish this so we can talk about it? I want to talk about it. Because it was definitely a book I had to finish. And then I was like, there's got to be something I missed. And then I go back and read some different things in different parts of the book and found more information, like found more things that were in code that I didn't realize at the time were in code. And so I go through and decode them and I got a little bit more information that kind of solidified my overall feeling, because the book does leave you feeling like, what is this book about? there's no real resolution to that question when you finish the book.
Yeah.
So I had to go back and look at some things that I feel like I maybe missed or didn't get everything out of it to solidify what the book was about. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a great book. It's not your style. I wouldn't ask you to read this book.
Can I tell you which one of my books I'd want you to read?
I mean, if it's Her Soul to Take, I'm already doing it.
No, from my TBR that I read this month.
Hold on, I want to guess.
Okay.
Are we talking besides One Dark Window, or is that the one?
Yeah, but no, that's one I want you guys to read collectively.
Okay, because I know you want me to read that one. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but if it's the morning one, I'm not doing it.
No, it's kind of like the same reason you don't want me to read House of Leaves, because you don't think I'll enjoy it. This is one that I want you to read because I do think you'll enjoy it. Maybe not to the level I enjoyed it. You'll like it, but for a different reason. Okay, you know this little book you love called Butcher and Blackbird? What if there was a book that was really similar?
I wish
a dark romance rom-com.
I wish this was a video episode because the way my face just dropped, I saw it on the screen too, and I was like, oh, sorry. I forget sometimes that my face is the subtitles, but my face dropped when you started it with Butcher and Blackbird. I'm like, what?
But you loved the vibes, the dark romance rom-com.
I did.
Love. So there's this book called Lights Out.
Okay. I thought that was going to be the one.
It is, because you do audiobooks. It is one of the funniest audiobooks I have ever listened to. There was at one point I laughed so hard I was crying and I had to take off my glasses because tears were streaming down my face. I was laughing so hard. So when I listen to an audiobook, I try to find the ones where the two voice actors are interacting in the chapter. So it's not a guy high pitching to sound like a girl or a girl low pitching to sound like a guy. They are talking to each other. It's a stalker
and they do
romance.
That in this one.
Yes. It is so the setup on the back, so there's no spoilers, is on TikTok. There are men who wear the Scream mask and they do thirst traps for the book talk girlies because we're whores. So that's essentially the setup. There is an ER nurse who is single.
I feel like I'm already sold, honestly, just with that.
So, there's an ER nurse who, when she's bored, she goes on her favorite thirst trap TikToker, which is a guy who doesn't use a Scream mask. He got a custom mask because he's bougie like that.
Ooh.
He is the son of a notorious serial killer, and he gets stalked a lot by people who just want to get into the minds of a serial killer's son. Right. So that's why he has the mask and stuff. Yeah. That's why he wants to be online, but he wears the mask so he can have some anonymity and But so he wears the mask so that he can still be present online, but no one knows it's him. He can be himself, a little slutty.
Okay.
He stalks her. It's his roommate.
Her.
Yeah, it's his roommate.
He's normally stalked, but he stalks her.
Yeah, so this is why it's so funny, because there's parts of it where he's having an inner monologue of should I be worried that I'm stalking someone because my dad stalked people? No, it's fine. It's fine. Because I don't want to do anything horrible to her. Just take her clothes off and go to Pound Town. His inner monologue where he's spiraling. I'm like, this man, he's a little neurodivergent, which we love.
I love it.
But it is so funny. So it's like a stalker romance, dark romance, rom-com.
Okay.
I made Tish read it. I kept telling her she had to do the audiobook of it because it's not a serious read. It's not like Butcher and Blackbird where they're romantically killing people together. It's just the MMC is so fucking funny. And he also thinks that she has no idea who he is. So he's like, ha 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 ha, I'm so smart. She's never going to figure out it's me. Meanwhile, she knows it's him so he's a really big popular person on TikTok, but they know each other in real life because they live in the same town, and she just didn't realize it at first, but then she does figure out who he is. But his little monologues are hey, she's never gonna figure out it's me. I'm so clever. It's just so good. I want you to listen to it. I don't even care. I just need you to appreciate the audiobook with me because it's so fucking funny.
Let me tell you, as you were talking about that, I put it on hold in my Libby app.
Yes.
But here's the thing.
How many weeks do I have to wait?
Okay, so whenever I put something on hold in the Libby app, it'll tell me you are this number in line, and then it'll say, the squiggly line, about X weeks, right?
Yeah.
No squiggly line, just says several months.
It's so good. Maddie, I had already said I was going to read it, and Maddie begged me to do the audiobook of it, and I was like, all right. Because Maddie also does like flips back and forth with reading an audiobook, and she begged me to make sure I did it with audiobooks. So I was like, just for you, Maddie, I'll use my credit and I'll get the freaking lights out. 0 regrets. I would have bought it with real money instead of, I mean, it is real money. The credit is
you're basically
it's my money
monthly for it.
I saved like $4 with my credit versus like how much the audiobook was.
Oh yeah, it is a lot more.
Think of how good Leather and Lark and Butcher and Blackbird's audiobooks are. It's on the same level. It's as funny. The interactions, his spiraling. He talks to our cat at some point. So there's like full conversations this man is having in his head with a cat. It's so good.
I'm sold on it.
It is smutty.
I'm dying at the fact
Don't get confused. The man
won't even tell me how long I have to wait. It just says several months.
Funny.
Like, but I'm 204th in line.
How many copies?
Which
does
is
your
funny
library
because
have?
for One Dark Window, it says I'm 222nd in line, and it's about a 9-week wait. This one says I'm 204th, and it says several months.
How many copies does your library have of it?
Oh, 1.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Somebody at the library is going to need to up that because...
Yeah. Oh, that means that, I mean, I'm sure that because of how many people are waiting for it, they're going to get more copies. And I have seen my holds go down before. Like, we had this many... let me see if I see any of them.
I mean, if they're in the 200s, they're going to want to get, like, 30 copies of that especially because it's blowing up right now.
Yeah, when I put something on hold, it'll tell me it tells you how many people are waiting per copy. Mm-hmm. But it'll also tell you when they add more copies. It'll say we recently added this many more copies of the book. So, I mean, I'm sure that will go down, but it's just cracking me up that right now it says several months.
Because all those thirsty ladies in line before you also want to listen to the TikTok star stalking one of his fans.
It's really, really funny. That's really funny.
The premise of the book is so funny.
I'm actually looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think Ayana's review too had even said like it's not as dark as it was like marketed, but it's funnier than it was marketed. Like the rom-com of it all, hilarious.
Yeah.
I think Ayana still gave it 4 stars. But yeah, I'm so glad you already added it to your list.
Yeah, I already added it.
It's an experience. You don't even need to like the plot. You don't need to like the smut. You just need to appreciate the audiobook.
Right.
And the internal monologues this man has with himself. And the spiraling. Because we're a friendship group that loves to spiral. So listening to other people spiral is a great time.
It is. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today. We hope you enjoyed the vibes, enjoyed hearing about our spooky reads for the month. If you want to keep up to date, make sure you're following us on Instagram and TikTok.
And if you want to watch us put together our November TBRs, make sure you join us over on Twitch. We'll be streaming there live, and you can join in on chat with what you're going to be reading. And if you plan on going out tonight for Halloween or you're trick-or-treating, just maybe make sure to follow some of Rubik's rules that she sets for her children.
Listen, they're not bad rules.
They're not. They're great. I think you should share with the class, in fact.
All right, here we go. If you go out tonight, some simple guidelines to follow. Be safe and have fun in that order. Do not add to or subtract from the population. Do not end up in the ER, newspaper, or jail. And if you do end up in jail, assert dominance quickly. Till next time, you are awesome. You are doing great.
We love you. Now stop stalling and go read the book.
Bye.
Join the fun, come and stay.